Good afternoon and welcome back to Create Your Own Forest, a place for art of all shapes and sizes, colors, mediums, whatever you or I feel like on any given basis. My hair is not wet for once in this little corner, but the lighting from my window is pretty harsh right now, which is crazy because I have a north-facing window and I'm in the north part of America, so theoretically it shouldn't be this bright, but it is, so I'm a little washed out today. We'll get the music started and then we can hang out together. So we're back with chapter 6 of Poppy Night, finishing out can't do much to fix motorcycles going fast outside right now. Unfortunately, I do not live in a specific area that allows me to properly install any soundproofing, but you know, maybe one day. But we're back out and trying Poppy Night, chapter 6, and we can catch up on what's happened the last week, since I haven't posted in around a week. Maybe silly to not really edit videos, and maybe in the future I will. But like I said in the first episode, and I'll keep repeating, this is more of just a log for me to get me to actually create art. I might cave and just use the line tool if I can't get these set. But so yeah, this is really to get me to do it, so I'm not super interested in quality. If there are people who are interested in the art, in the videos, fantastic, but I'm not really doing this for anybody but myself, and I do feel like you should have something like that too. There's something that you go after because you like it, and maybe there you don't have a way to get yourself to do it. So it's really an excuse to put more time and effort into it. There was a book called The Tipping Point. I don't remember who it was by, but my father lent it to me, and I honestly, I'm gonna be honest, I never actually finished reading it. But one day I would like to give it another shot. It was a pretty well-written book, but it talked about the fact that in any hobby, in any skill anyone has, there is a quote-unquote tipping point of how many hours you need to put in to truly be good at that skill. And I think it used the Beatles as a reference. But essentially it boiled down to, if you truly want to be good at something, you need to put an excessive amount of time into it. Think like 100,000 hours. I don't remember the exact number. You know what? I'll Google it. Hours to be good at something. There's gotta be it's not 100,000 hours, thankfully. Actually, I was wrong. It looks like it's 10,000 hours, which is still a lot of time. That's a lot of time, and that's not a lot of time that most people dedicate to actively doing something, to either making a change or trying a new skill. But, and you know, that's mastery. That's not necessarily like, you know, I'm amateur, I know that I'm good enough at this to be good enough, and then move on. That's like, if you want to be a master in something, it's kind of discouraging to think about how long it truly takes to become good at something. But in the end, I feel like those hours are well spent. There is, I don't know, giving yourself not a purpose, but a reason to keep pushing forward with everything, I think is worth it. So, rounding out around 5 minutes, we actually have pretty much completed the actual line art of Poppy Night. And taking most of the line art away. We'll leave the sketch a little bit because I want to be able to see the flowers. But we have finished the line art and we're going to move on to color. So I'm going to create a group layer here and just call it color. I'm thankfully for this first piece that I'm doing on this channel, I'm not having anything really confusing in the piece. I'm not having multiple characters. It's really just this one figure with the two objects next to them. So we'll start with background. And this will be an interesting piece because I could cheat and use, and maybe I will at some point, I could cheat and use the Krita stamp for flowers. Not for flowers, for grass. But I'm really gonna try not to. Considering like poppy fields, yeah, it kind of looks like grass, but it also doesn't really, at least the shape. So maybe as like a baseline I might use this stamp, but later on I think it would be wiser not to. So we're just gonna get down a green color. I don't really care about accuracy right now. I'm just kind of filling it in. I probably should put the sketch actually on top so that I can see it a little bit. And I'm gonna hide the sketch eventually once I really start inking things in, but for the sake of the background, and eventually I'll have to do like the stuff over the top of, you know, the weapon and the where to make it look like he's more sunk into the grass. Eventually I'll work toward that, but for now I really just want to get some shapes in, the general vibes of the background. I'm really not, I don't feel like I am very proficient in backgrounds. I'll be totally honest. And I am looking at plenty of inspiration photos for things like poppy fields. It does look like it gets pretty dark at the base, so I'll have to do lots of layers for this. But yeah, I've never really felt like I was super proficient or am super proficient with backgrounds, so this is an excuse for me to get better. I think anything that you can do that is an excuse for you to get better at something is worth it. Even if it may not feel like it in the moment. I do realize poppy fields go up to, I actually have never really looked at images of poppy fields before. They go up pretty freaking high. People can be standing like half their body in. Maybe not. There's a good picture of a poppy field I can use. They look like they're pretty tall. I've never actually seen a poppy field in real life. When I was in California, briefly, I did an internship in California, at least in a part of California. And when I was there, I remember feeling kind of bummed because I heard that I missed out on poppy flower season, because apparently up in the hills around where I was staying was a pretty popular site to go and look at poppies. And obviously I wasn't really there for that purpose. I was doing an internship and I missed it anyway. But yeah, I'm just kind of putting down color right now. Different variation in green, trying to do different saturations. That looks a little gray to me. Different saturations and things. I'm probably going to blend all these together, and then I'll probably go in with the stamping tool. I'm still going to use it as a crutch for now and probably for a while. But I do know a lot of digital artists do make stamps for a lot of things. This is honestly what Krita has built in. It's nothing special. It's nothing like that. But get some shadows in there, kind of mark out what sort of areas I want to highlight or not. I do want it to look like it's sunken in a little bit in some places. But it looks like I kind of got to mark out where the poppies are. But anyway, as we continue, can talk about what I've been up to the last couple weeks, or last week. I actually was privileged enough to go and see Alice Cooper and My Chemical Romance perform together. A lot of younger people or people closer to my age haven't heard of Alice Cooper, which is fine. I don't obviously have a problem with what other people listen to. I actually hadn't even heard of him before I decided to go to the concert, and I actually found that his music's grown on me a lot. I googled him as we were heading to the concert, I and a friend, and he is apparently the father of shock rock, which makes sense considering he has made some very questionable sounding music, well, in terms of lyrics. And I didn't know this, but my significant other did. Apparently he beheads himself on stage. It's a pretty well-known thing. It was not well known for me, in my defense. And his wife is the one that does it, Alice Cooper's wife. And after that, she kind of dances around with the head. Ooh, that's very neon. I was not expecting it to be so neon. I wanted, like... There we go. More like summery green, you know? There we go. After this, I'll blend it together and then start identifying some stalks where I want to put some flowered color. I know right now it just kind of looks like a mushy mess, but hopefully if we trust the process, it'll work out. And then obviously I'll have to do a final little thing, a final layer. Sorry, my brain, along with the lo-fi. I wish I could mute it for me, but still have you all hear it. I haven't figured that out yet. I'm not that tech savvy. But when I do a final layer over the top of the sword, the Poppy Knight, and his shield, I will make it look a little bit more like they're sunk in. This is really just to create a base of color from which to build on. It'll kind of set the stage for everything in the piece. And now we can get on blending a little bit. And at this point, I think I can probably fully hide the sketch. Anything that I want to build on from there, I think I can. I don't know if I truly want this blender. Maybe this blender will suit me a little. I'm still on the layer sketch. I think I'll stick with my original blending guys. I honestly only use two brushes in Krita. I use, or three. I use the Blender Basic. I use Basic 5 size opacity. And I use Basic 5 size. Those are the only brushes I typically use. If I'm going for a different style, I'll intentionally use a different brush because it'll make it look different, at least to me. And obviously if I'm going for a different style, that's probably what I want. But yeah, I went to a concert with My Chemical Romance and Alice Cooper, which I think that I've been telling people it's sort of like a bucket list tour, concert to go to. I love going to concerts. It's super enjoyable as a pastime, in my opinion. And at the end of the day, after My Chemical Romance does this very, very short tour, to be honest, I was talking with a buddy, and they were like, oh, they were just near here, and it's interesting because they only had, like 9 locations picked out or something like that. It was super short concert tour, but I'm sure they sold out at all of them. And it honestly was a very incredible experience. Obviously, we don't know if they'll ever really tour again after this. It's not something that's easy to catch or anything like that. I'm going back in and doing these little like circular things because they do look like they have, while they have the stalks, it more looks like the grass is very like interconnected together and tangled. So hopefully I can get those vibes because this is kind of supposed to be the undergrowth. So I'll try and channel those tangled vibes. Tangled. It's a good animated movie. But back to what I was saying, it's kind of like a once in a lifetime sort of thing, considering how long My Chemical Romance was broken up for. I think it's pretty important. Not pretty important, but it's like you're gonna do it, and that's gonna be probably the only time you see them. As well as Alice Cooper, I didn't realize until a few days before the event how old he is. He's 77, still performing. He still looks pretty good for a 77-year-old. He was up there, styled away, grooving, being his interesting self. Honestly, how I'm blending this is kind of reminding me of oil paint blending backgrounds. And I'm kind of loving it. So, yeah, I saw them. Probably the most incredible part was the fact that you couldn't even hear the lead singer from My Chemical Romance for a lot of songs. A lot of it devolved into what the what the crowd was singing back. And I mean, when I was a kid, you hear the really popular My Chemical Romance songs, and you're like, oh shit, it'd be so cool to see that. Being me from a very sheltered household, I didn't actually think that I would get to go to any concerts like that. But lo and behold, we're here. Definitely a win for childhood me, which is fantastic. And yeah, I mean, what can I say? Beautiful venue, very, very fun. The other thing I did this past week, I went to a Cabernet with the original Orpheus and Eurydice from Hadestown. I went there with a buddy. And highly, if you're ever listening to this and haven't listened to Hadestown, which is a Broadway musical, and you like musicals and you haven't listened to Hadestown, you should. You absolutely should. I heard about it when it's starting to like become super duper mainstream right now. But I was first introduced to it by a friend in around 2016. And at that point in time, it was still kind of like being introduced to Broadway. It wasn't like official or anything like that. And at that point in time, like I don't even know if it was confirmed that it was going to be Broadway or not. But regardless, it did in fact become like a Broadway sensation, and I seen it twice. I would go see it again and again. It is the story of the two, what I was saying, Orpheus and Eurydice. More blending. Can never have enough blending. Never enough rendering, you know? Alright. Back to drawing a little bit. And I'm doing this, it's going to be pretty detailed to be honest, but I'm doing this because I often feel like I end up focusing a lot on the characters, but I also, in this case, do want the background to be character as well. So we're gonna put some scribbles and things in there. But I hope you're all having a good day. Back to what I was saying. So Orpheus and Eurydice, that's what the story of Hadestown is about. And even for people who, it's one of those classic Greek mythology tales with Hades and Persephone and the two main characters, Hermes. Is pretty well known in Greek tragedy, but like what I think my favorite part about Hadestown is that it calls back to something that's very like Greek in origin, which is choosing to tell a story again and again and again, already knowing what the ending is, but performing it so beautifully each time that it's worth telling, it's worth talking about, it's worth experiencing again and again and again. And that's something that they return to each day, each time in Hadestown. That's something that they always come back to, is that while this may be a tragedy, while nothing may turn out okay, it's still worth it to sing it again. It's still worth it to experience. And I didn't even realize that I'm over time. I've been enjoying myself doodling the backgrounds here. But I'm glad that this gave me a chance to work on it. The only reason I noticed is because I'm sure the audio quality got worse because my AC kicked on. So we'll continue with the scribbles of the poppy field next time, but I'm glad that we could work on getting some color. Let me know if anyone's watching, if they would like longer episodes. Maybe cover a little bit more detail, but I do think we're making very, very good progress. I mean, it's only been, this is episode 6, so it hasn't been too long. But regardless, let me know what you think. If you're watching and you think we should do longer episodes, that's something I'm sure that I can put together. Alright, I hope you are all finding a reason to have fun. I was going to say find a reason to find your potential. That's a little cringy too. And remember that it's okay to be cringe. And if I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.